Hello, good morning, and happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Justin Nimergood. I am the host of the Real Estate Rockstars. Today, we're joined by a dynamic guest, Mr. Randy Dyck. Just a little bit about Randy before we get started here today, everyone. Randy is a renowned real estate leader, speaker, and founder of the Eximus Real Estate Team, Realtor Collective, and Scientific Scaling Systems. With over 30 years of experience as a top producer in the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, Randy has sold over 7,000 homes and earned numerous accolades, including the EXP Icon Award, the RE/MAX Circle of Legends Award, a ranking among the top 6 RE/MAX teams in Canada, and recognition as one of the top 200 agents in the country. Randy's current focus is Scientific Scaling Systems, a coaching program designed to help agents attract the right clients by leveraging prospecting lanes tailored to their personalities. This innovative approach empowers agents to scale their business effectively while staying true to themselves. Randy's passion for mentorship also drives his work with EXP Realty, where he launched a legacy building movement in 2019. Today, he supports a growing network of 623 worldwide legacy partners, with approximately 20 new partners joining each month. As the host of the Return on Life podcast and a prolific content creator, Randy inspires professionals and entrepreneurs globally through seminars and workshops advocating for financial independence and personal fulfillment. Outside of his professional endeavors, Randy embraces a spirit of adventure. From kite surfing to skiing, he leads a dynamic and active lifestyle, reflecting his commitment to living life to the fullest. You can also find him enjoying time with his wife, kids, and grandkids. It's without further ado, Randy Dyck, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Justin. That was far too long. I got to get my assistant to shorten that up. My apologies for that going on and on and on. But hey, it's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you. And maybe that's saying something about you, Randy. You've been an accomplished man in your career, so you got a lot of that to draw upon. So just let's open with kind of a softball type question, right? That was obviously a lot that I just shared, but in your own words, who is Randy Dyck?
Wow, that's a great question. Randy is a serial underdog. I've been an underdog my entire life. I'm dedicated to understanding the underdog spirit, what I call the DNA within each and every one of us about the underdog. But I've been an underdog my entire life, and I have just worked harder and longer and tried to be Mr. Nice Guy throughout everything that I've done, which has really been beneficial to me in all areas and all walks of my life, from my personal to my business to financial, whatever it may be. So here's a guy from a small town in southern Alberta, grew up on a farm, and just knew that work ethic was the magic to everything, and that's really who I am.
In Alberta, one of my favorite areas of Canada, I have to say. From the age of about 10, yeah, I was about 10 to basically through high school, I was a frequent visitor in Canada, in Alberta, skiing or actually eventually snowboarding the slopes of Banff, Sunshine Village, Lake Louise, and the like, Whistler and all that, which is just, it's spectacular out there. So I have nothing but good things to say about Canada personally.
Awesome. Well, appreciate that. Yeah, the skiing is pretty phenomenal in the Rockies. And where I grew up, we had a mountain that hardly anybody knows about. It's called Castle Mountain. And it's just got the best terrain, like unbelievable terrain if you like steep fall line skiing.
Oh, absolutely. That's wonderful. So all you listeners out there that are extremists like Randy, make sure you check that out. Randy, how and what, really led you to pursue a career in real estate?
Well, you know, I knew that I wasn't going to be a farmer, even though I grew up on a farm. I just said, this is not for me. And I thought I would be in sales at a very young age.
Hmm.
Um, and that went from being in a clothing store and thinking I should own a clothing store at some point to working in a sports shop, which was just like Christmas every day. A new
Hmm.
box of whatever would show up and I'd rip it open and take whatever I saw in the box, one of those home. But the reality of it, well, I wasn't going to support a family on managing a sports shop, at least not supporting it very well. And one of my good friends was in real estate and said, "Gosh, like how good you are at sales in this sports shop, you should be in real estate." And he encouraged me to become a realtor. And
Hmm.
so I took my test, and in May of 1992, kind of
Oh,
crazy
wow.
when you think about that, 1992, I became licensed.
Wow. I won't even tell you how old I was in 1992. But that's funny. It's like what people say, I forgot more about this than you'll ever even, learn, right?
Mm.
So I'm sure that's true for you. That's wonderful, Randy. Great story, and great story of really just kind of rolling. I don't want to say rolling with the punches, but kind of rolling through life in a way that you heed heed all the signals from the universe or from whatever's around you, right? And
Mhm.
sounds like you found something you loved, but needed to just pivot slightly in order to really find the true career that checked all the boxes for you, if you will.
Yeah, and you know, Justin, I had no idea I would enjoy real estate as much as I have and still enjoy it like immensely. I just love this industry. But what it really comes down to is just serving people. And that is the magic. I just loved serving and helping people. And in the sporting industry, a lot of that was very, very technical. I sold a lot of high-end equipment, ski equipment, tennis rackets, and so you really need to understand the equipment and then understand the athlete to match the equipment to the athlete or what they're trying to accomplish. And really
Hmm.
that's what real estate is. You're just Cupid trying to match things up and make people happy, right?
I
So
think that's cute. Cupid. I'll have to borrow that one. So obviously the real estate industry is very dynamic. It's got a lot going on, especially today. I mean, the market today is as volatile as we've seen in a long time, certainly. Obviously, there's all kinds of speculation going on. We don't know what's going to happen, with the Fed and interest rates, at least here in America. I know it's a little different for you guys up there in Canada. But what do you consider as someone that's been in this industry? You've probably been through the waves, right? So you probably have a good sense of, hey, here's what's to come. What do you really see on the horizon as the biggest challenge facing the real estate industry?
well, I have seen a few cycles. I've been and lived through four different cycles, and we know that that cycle is going to happen. We just don't know the duration. We know that, boom, slump, recovery, that cycle of real estate is going to happen. We just don't know the duration and when it's going to often start. The easiest piece to understand in that cycle of boom, slump, recovery is when we go from boom to slump. That's the easiest one to foresee and predict almost. Yet we don't want to admit to it. We don't want to have it appear or come, so we avoid, the signs, so to speak. But you know, the challenge, I think, with it in North America, and I don't think we have to be specific whether it's the United States or Canada. Our markets function and roll, very similar in a lot of ways. And prices in most markets have become so unaffordable in
Mhm.
many markets. And the crazy thing is, why is that? Well, we say, well, it's because there's no supply, and supply struggles with creating new inventory. But prices have still risen so much, and now we have these high prices, and people are locked in, and they've overpaid in some cases. They've used their homes as ATM machines, pulling equity out, and so it's created a challenge in some ways. So sellers have been kind of on strike in some markets because they're going, well, I can't go to market. You know, um, I can't afford what I want to do because of my financial circumstances now. At least I'm seeing that a lot in Canada. And buyers are kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. They're kind of on pause,
Mhm.
and they're waiting for interest rates maybe to readjust so they can get better rates. But maybe this is the best way to give you an understanding of how I think the market is. I think it's a bad school dance.
Oh, wow.
And what I
Wow.
think, why I say that is, if we remember going to those bad high school dances, everybody was on the outside of the gymnasium walls, right? They were waiting on the outside. They didn't like the music. They weren't sure if they liked the girl that they wanted to go dance with, but they kind of wanted to. And it was this bad school dance. The music isn't good enough to get on the dance floor, or there's not enough pretty girls, or not enough handsome guys to get out there. So it's kind of like a school dance right now.
That's hilarious. And that is a wonderful metaphor. Again, I think I'm going to borrow a couple of your euphemisms here today, Randy. That's wonderful. Hey, could you walk us through what I like to ask this question, especially of our high performers and folks like yourself that have been around the block and just have lots of wonderful experiences to draw upon. And you've probably developed some best practice, I'm sure, developed some best practices and blueprints along the way. So could you just walk us through at least that present moment? Walk us through your typical day.
Hmm. My typical day, I wake up at 4:40 a.m. traditionally, almost 5 days a week. I'll do that, and I'll head to the gym, do my work at the gym, come back, get dressed, have a shower, whatever. Then I have breakfast with my wife, which is really important. And by the way, I've got a daily accountability checklist that I use for my coaching clients, as well as my team, as well as myself. And this is
Wow.
all part of that. Um, I have breakfast with my wife, which is really important to connect with the people that are really important to you, which is your family,
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
friends, your loved ones. So I do that. From there, we often will do a quick beach walk. We live on the Pacific, so we do a quick beach walk, and then I'm ready to rock and roll by about 8 o'clock. And so I spend my
Wow,
morning.
you've done all of that by 8 o'clock? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, time is that one piece that we all have the same amount of, but it's how we bend time, how we
Mhm.
use time, how we are, going through the process of using our day. And so, I'll just move off that a little bit just to say that for me, I have these daily, weekly, monthly, yearly goals that have urgency, and I compress them so I get the most out of my day.
Mm.
So I'm always compressing my goals, so trying to shorten them in a time frame, and then I put something in there to give it urgency. And I play a game with myself, and we can talk about that. But I'm off track from your original question. But my morning is really about how do I get the most out of my morning as far as prospecting, doing those things that are the things you don't want to do. You know,
But you
uh,
have to do them,
but we
right?
have to do them. And through my scientific scaling systems, I've tried to make those things that we don't like to do really enjoyable, because if we enjoy them, they're easy to do. And we can talk about that in a bit. But so I get that stuff out of the way very early on. Most of my appointments don't start till the afternoon,
Mhm.
but I get all of that hard work prospecting, returning my calls, trying to be really deliberate on getting those tasks that I just don't like to do out of the way. And then the afternoon is freewheeling. I'll create content. I will do podcasts. Here, I do a podcast earlier, but that's because I'm a guest. Um, I, you know, I'm not so much in transactions anymore. I do very few transactions compared to what I used to do. So it's
Mhm.
a different day than I used to have. If I go back to when I was cranking out, hundreds of deals myself a year, uh, it was a little different process. But again, very much I do my prospecting in the morning, but then by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I was just full on working either on offers, because when you sell, personally 150 homes a year, or the team was selling, 250, 350, 450, just depending on the cycle of the market or who was on my team at the time, because the team is always changing. That's what teams do. You're always in a state of change. But you know, it was just full on, like full power, 100 miles an hour till you know 6:30, 7 o'clock. Go home, have dinner with my family, and then again I'd power up again at about 7:30, 8 o'clock to finish off the day and do a few more things. So there's no easy way. If you want to be productive, you got to go hard. There's just no way around that. And you know, production solves all problems, but it can also create problems. But in most of our cases, production solves all our problems.
Yeah, and those of us in sales know a closed sale will, you know, will absolutely solve your problems no matter what industry you're in. Thank you for walking us through that. I think it's really helpful and important for our listeners out there to know what the blueprint of success looks like. And it doesn't matter who I speak to. I can guarantee you there's a couple of things that are in there. There's some level of health, wealth, and vitality that they incorporate in their day. You clearly do that. There's some level of discipline and intense action that they incorporate in their day. And then there's some level of personal development, I'll call it, that they incorporate in their day, whether it's, you know, posting or creation of content or, you know, just learning themselves. I think that, you know, those are the constants that I hear from guest to guest like yourself. And by the way, I have to say it's interesting that you try to handle all your tough tasks first thing in the morning. That's actually my model too, other than this podcast, right? Which I don't consider a tough task. It's a fun thing. But strategically placed middle of the week. And that allows us to get through that day, recharge, as you said. Afternoon is, you know, more appointment based. I think that's a great model of success.
You know, one thing I would recommend, and this worked really well for me when I was really flat out, is I would prepare 2 meals for my journey, my daily journey every day. And they were clean meals. And so I knew that I could be fueled up, powered up, no matter what time of day it was, no matter what was happening in my day, because we know in real estate, it's just a moving schedule. The schedule is just fluid and it's always changing. And often you don't have time. But because there was a time that I would literally be at the office at 6:30 in the morning, I would swing by the Starbucks, pick up a black coffee and a banana loaf, and that would be brekkie. And then I would just power through till I was finished work. And often that was at 9 o'clock and I wouldn't eat. And I realized that was just killing me. So I had to make some adjustments along the way. And means am I perfect? I'm always learning, and I'm a lifelong learner. I'm still learning today how to readjust the schedule to be at my absolute peak. But I've got my daily accountability checklist, which I'll send to you. And if you feel free to send it to your
audience,
listeners, go for it. But it includes
and maybe we can actually link it in the show details below as well for our listeners out there.
Absolutely.
Let me switch gears for a second here, Randy. What advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in real estate?
Well, be prepared to be obsessed by this thing called real estate. That's the only way you're going to get the plane off the ground. You got to go as hard and as fast as you can, and you're going to have to put a lot of effort into it. But know who you are. And this is really so important. Know who you are, know your passions, know your values, and then stay in those lanes. And then if you can, and you'll work with anybody at some point because you're hungry, but start to decide who your perfect client is. Who is your avatar that you want to have showing up each and every day? If you could just wave a magic wand and that client would show up each and every day. And what do I mean by that? And you're kind of going, well, Randy, what are you saying? Well, if I wanted a specific client, so let's just say I wanted an investor to show up every day because I love working with investors and I love investing in real estate. That'd be a pretty good avatar for me. So what does that avatar look like? And what's the color of their hair, their eyes? Like, get granular. What's their net worth? What is really their investment property of choice if they're going to buy or sell? Because when you do that, you start manifesting these people into your life, into your world, into your business world. So I would say start with that. But the number one thing is build a database. So many people don't work on building an incredible database and having a CRM that can really work and function for you. And if I made one huge mistake throughout my career is that my database was never as strong as it should have been. And even today, it's not as strong as it should be. And so you might go, well, I only know 75 people, or I only know 100 people. Well, that's maybe that's all you know. But there's a couple of really good tools out there. There's one called a memory jogger, and it runs you through almost your entire life, memory jogging your mind to remember some people that you may have forgotten about to put in your database. And then the second thing, which is also on my daily accountability checklist, is add 2 people to your database each and every day. And so if you add 2 people, 2 times 5 days a week, if you're only going to work 5 days a week, is 10 times 4 weeks is 40 times 12 is 480 new people in your database
every year. Yeah.
And you might go, well, where am I going to meet these 2 new people? Well, that's your job. Your job's to go and find people that you don't know. So even part of my daily accountability checklist is go have a coffee in public. Go have a coffee at the local coffee shop in public. Make sure that people know that you're in real estate, not by saying I'm in real estate, but wear some logo gear. Have your vehicle wrapped. Tell people you're in real estate without telling them you're in real estate. And
let it be known.
Let it be known. And even go to the barista and say, hey, by the way, the next 5 people that walk up here and are looking for coffee, I will pay for the coffee. Here's my credit card. And by the way, I'm going to sit right over there in that corner. And if you could just say, hey, coffee's compliment of Randy over there. And I'm going to meet 5 people today just by doing that.
Wow. It's like sending a drink to someone at the bar, but probably much more effective because you never know how many drinks they've had before, right? Sending a coffee probably a little bit more appropriate. That is a really great tactic. And I love how you approach it from a database perspective. So often I hear realtors talking about you need to have 10 conversations a day, right? And I think if you really break that down, you could have 10 conversations a day that could be highly unproductive. Did you actually add them to your database though? Which I love, because are they on some sort of drip email campaign with you? Are they getting regular text messages, or are they in your text messaging database as well for those that use that type of feature? I think that's a really phenomenal way for all you listeners out there. Take note of this, right? This is something you definitely want to implement within your business. Okay, we're going to switch gears to the final section here, Randy. And this is going to be all about you. It's going to be all about kind of the future. So bear with me. But let's say it's your 80th birthday. Who is there? What's going on? Kind of, could you paint the picture for us?
Whew, that's a tough question in some ways. In some ways, it's very, very easy. Of course, family and my grandchildren, my children, absolutely. But I'm going to be honest here, and I think maybe a lot of other real estate agents can maybe relate to this, is that when you're highly active and busy in real estate, you have so many acquaintances, but you have very few friends.
Wow.
Very few friends. And I would say I have very few friends. I have acquaintances like thousands, but close friends, because in the game of real estate, you give up a lot of relationships because the business demands your time, your energy. When others are going out and having a drink at the bar and watching the big game or something, you're out closing a deal. It's just really, really challenging when you're really busy and active agent to maintain friendships.
Absolutely.
So that is something that I'm working on more and more. And one of the other things, I'm going to have some confessions on this.
Confessional with Randy Dyck. No.
Yes, but I saying off the top that I'm a serial underdog also created an addiction in myself. And we all have addictions of some sort. My addiction, because of something that happened to me at 14 when I broke my neck. I broke my neck on a motorcycle at 14. I was paralyzed from the neck down and had to fight for everything to get all this stuff back. But
oh, wow.
that made me very competitive, which is what made me very good at real estate. But it also created this addiction, that adversity I enjoy. And by enjoying adversity, I have a hard time actually just settling into a moment and letting peace wash over me.
Oh, wow.
And so this is something I've only really started unpacking and learning about here in the last year or so, about this, what I call my addiction of adversity. I have an adversity addiction, so to speak. I love, let's go, we'll figure it out. If we crash, we crash, no big deal. Like I've broken 19 bones in my body over my life,
Jeez.
right? Because I live hard.
You're a bruiser.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I'm hoping that I have more friends, more acquaintances than I have today at my 80th birthday party. Of course, family is so important to me. And I'm just absolutely loving my grandson. I've got a granddaughter on the way, and I'm just really looking forward to many, many of those special moments. So
absolutely.
Hope that answers the question. I had a few confessions on that one.
I have no doubt you're going to have way more probably friends than you would ever imagine there, being the kind of servant leader that you clearly are. So that's wonderful. All right, I got another zinger for you here.
Okay.
So imagine it's your last day on earth.
Hmm.
We're getting ready for the Armageddon. Okay. You can only preserve 3 things in your time capsule. What are those items and why?
Whew. Well, I think if there's some way to lock every memory that I have into something. So today our phone has a lot of memories.
Yes, it does.
So I think I would probably leave that behind, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. There's thousands and thousands of comments. I have a special spot on my phone where when something enters my mind that I think is profound or interesting or an aha moment for me, I write it down. So I think that would be something with the passcode, or I delete the passcode so it could be open to anybody that sees it and can see my life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully there's some value there for somebody that opens the time capsule. That would be one. Of course, there's a lot of memories there. What would be number 2? Number 2. Is there anything more important than that? I don't know.
I mean, that could be your 1, 2, and 3 if you want.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I've heard people say, their wedding ring and that was all they needed in there. I've heard it all on here. So that's a really good answer, though, right? If you could preserve your memories forever, that would pretty amazing, right?
Yeah. I mean, life isn't about stuff. I know we love stuff. We're such incredible consumers of stuff, and we think it's really important, but it's really worthless at the end of the day. And it's only the memories that we have that are really of any value, and more importantly, the memories that we can share with somebody that we don't even know, that we leave behind for somebody else to see.
Absolutely. What's interesting is everyone's answered this question on my show, but I haven't yet heard anyone talking about their Lamborghini or anything like that. It's funny. You can really get through to the core humanity with some of these questions, which is why I put them in there, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, final question for you, Randy. What is your definition of a real estate rock star?
Real estate rock star is somebody that's committed to their craft, and I mean by every sense of it. So you're a learner, first of all. So you're always thinking, how do I learn? How do I learn? Then I think there's the leverage piece. I'm going to break it down into 4 L's. There's being a learner, then leverage. And so every one of your clients needs to leverage all that knowledge and information that you have to their benefit.
Okay.
And then you're helping somebody create legacy in their own world. That could be financial, that could be family legacy, because we're in the servant business. We're here to serve. And last but not least, I think if you can help others lead a better life. So 4 L's. So learn, leverage, legacy, and lead.
Learn, leverage, legacy, and lead. Learn. I'm taking notes here. Legacy and lead. Folks, I hope you took good notes today, because this was an absolute masterclass by Mr. Randy. So, Randy, thank you so much for all the wisdom you've shared. How can people find and connect with you?
Well, the easiest way is probably on Instagram. It's Randy C. Dyck, D-Y-C-K. Dick, Dyke, you can pronounce it any which way, just as long as you call me. And so that's really easy. If you Google me, of course, Randy Dyck, randydyck.com is the website where you'll find me as well. So easy peasy.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
All right, there we have it, folks. Another wonderful episode here on the Real Estate Rockstars. We'll have another dynamic guest for you next week. Until then, everyone, happy selling.